Hi there, welcome to 42 Pursuit. Today I'm going to be upgrading this plunge-based router in this router table with a fine height adjustment. If that's something you're curious about, stick around. So I picked up this router table used a little while back, and I like that it has a nice solid cast iron top. It's got a 3 horsepower ELU 3339 router, which is equivalent to a DeWalt 625 router. And the only gripe that I have about it is adjusting the height is super tedious and not very precise. The locking lever has to be moved and then pushing up on the bottom until the close height is adjusted. Hold that there and then lock it back down. But micro movements like this are nigh impossible. There is this threaded rod that can be used as a depth stop or sort of a height adjustment, but even using that is quite inconvenient. So I did some research and I looked around and I found an add-on for a router called the Router Raizer and thought I'd purchase it, install it, and see if that made height adjustment any easier. From the little bit that I found, it seems like it should do the trick, but I wasn't able to find a lot of literature or videos on it, so that's why I'm recording this. Not sponsored. I just thought this might help somebody out there who is in a similar predicament. So to do this upgrade, I picked up two things, one of which is the Router Raizer, and that works for a variety of plunge-based routers that you're using in a router table, and also an extreme extension. Now that'll help raise up the collet height so that bit changes are a lot easier from the top of the table rather than having to reach from underneath. The Router Raizer was $93.44 and the extreme extension was $23.55. So not cheap, but the upgrade might just be worth it to add on to your existing router table. Now, one other thing I was gonna mention, it crossed my mind to just get a new insert plate and a dedicated router lift, but this is not a standard dimension for an insert. So I would have had to get a whole new top, and I like this top. So since I wanted to keep it, I wanted to find an option that would work with the existing router that I had. So when you get the Router Raizer, it comes in a box like this, which contains a bag of parts and what looks like a very comprehensive installation manual. So the front page of this manual gives very clear instructions that you're going to be using pages 2 through 7, as well as the pages that correspond to the brand and model of the router that you're adding this onto. For me, that is page 11, 12, and 13. So I'm going to grab 2 through 7, rip those out to use, and pages 11, 12, and 13. Don't need those. 11, 12, and 13. Don't need those. So page 2 gives an intro. Page 3 gives a parts diagram. So I'm going to remove everything from the bag and align that over the top of the parts diagram there. And everything's laid out. Look at how great that part diagram is. Everything has its color and its actual size printed on the piece of paper. Really like that. I think to get better access to the router, I'm gonna pull the whole base out. Okay, so I removed these 3 screws to remove the table insert plate, and then 6 screws to remove this piece. So for this router, the first step is to engage the plunge lock, remove the top nut, rapid nut, and jam nut, and there's a pin here that holds this threaded rod onto the base. Flip it over, release the plunge lock, and lift the motor housing free. Inside there will be some springs and brass guides that we will also want to remove. Now the springs and brass spring guides have already been removed. They look like this. Okay, next step is to grab the number 1 main shaft, number 7 washer, number 9 nylon red bushing, number 13 hollow spring guide, number 14 steel 3/16 washer, and 1 of the number 15 retainers. Next up is to cut this number 1 main shaft down to 8.5 overall inches. Now is also a good time to lubricate or grease these guide rods. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm using a dry Teflon grease. Now with this piece cut to length, it's time for the first assembly. So it says to grease this washer. Thread the washer down and put a little more on top. Next, the red bushing, and then put this onto the base, like so. Next, the steel washer and the retainer with the teeth up. Next, the hollow spring guide with the flange up, and it seems to be easiest to use that to push down the retaining washer. Next, return number 13 hollow spring guide back to the box. Okay, now prepare the motor housing. Next, grab 16, 17, 18, and 20 and assemble them like so. So 16 and 17, and then 18, and screw 20 on. And then tighten down to finger tight. Okay, next step is to reassemble the base and the plunge springs. I thought we were leaving those out. We will be putting those in. And it says one thing to make sure is still present is on the locking lever to make sure that brass piece that locks against the tube is still present. And then drop this down and line everything up, including the newly added pieces. Seems good. Plunge the router all the way down and engage the lock. Now with the plunge base plunged down and locked, make sure that this newly added main shaft is centered on this drive nut and tighten the drive nut down. For the next step, we'll need number 12 green bushing, 2 number 15 retainers, 21 lead screw, 22 rapid collar, 23 red O-ring, 24 thumb screw, 26 top drive, 27 yellow set screw, 28 Allen wrench, some grease, and the 29 speed wrench. We'll put some grease on the 21 lead screw and thread that on until about an inch remains of the thread. To speed up this process, you can use 29 speed wrench. Press the O-ring onto the thumb screw, like so, and thread the thumb screw onto the rapid collar. Place the rapid collar onto the main shaft about 1/2 of an inch from the end, and tighten. Next, carefully release the plunge lock and allow it to spring up against the rapid collar. Grab the 2 number 15 retaining washers and install them with the teeth up on the main shaft. You can use the green bushing as an installation tool. Return the green bushing to the box. Next, grab the top drive, yellow set screw, and the Allen wrench, and start the set screw. Seat the top drive against the 2 retainers and tighten the set screw. And it should look something like this. Now this router has a spacer that is slightly lower than the top surface of this main shaft piece. So what we're gonna have to do is cut a 3/4 inch hole in this and then cut a 3/4 inch hole part of the way through on the base plate and then a 1/2 inch hole centered on that will hold the dust cover insert, which will then hold the dust cover, which will be removed by the magnet on the quick adjust wrench. Now the plans give hole templates, but they also give the option of using part 46, which is a pointed piece that can fit in point side up at the center of the main shaft. Then with that point facing up, now align with the existing holes and tap on the point to create an indent. And now we know where to drill. I'm going to drill with a tiny drill bit just so I can get everything aligned. Now this is actually a really good view to show why the acrylic needs a little bit drilled out. So you can see that thickness is just close enough. That piece will drag on that if it's not recessed. So here with everything lined up, pushing it down, it's not dragging on the acrylic at all. Perfect. So now I'll drill a 1/2 inch hole centered there for the dust cover insert. Now they don't necessarily advise to do it this way, but I'm gonna try drilling this from the top and not go all the way through the acrylic to where I drilled up from the bottom with a 3/4 inch bit. The thought is, if I can drill just the depth of this insert and then drill out the center, I still can have access to that hex key, but this won't be quite so low in this top piece. That's perfect. So 3/4 inch on the bottom, 1/2 inch part of the way through, and then 3/8 in the center. Allows for that to fit just flush. All right, now I'm gonna get the spacer and the base plate put back on the router. And now for the last piece of this upgrade, the collet extension. Now this extender fits in a 1/2 inch collet and can fit either 1/2 inch router bits, or it comes with this reducer for 1/4 inch router bits. It also comes with a 5/32 Allen key, but for a couple bucks, I grabbed this T-handle Allen key to make changing bits a breeze. Now to install it, all you gotta do is put it in like a regular router bit and snug it down. And now a quick demo of it in operation. There's a magnet on the speed wrench to pull the dust cover. And now a quick demo of how fast it is to swap out router bits. Check this out. Just like that, ready to rock and roll. Well, I'm quite pleased with how this worked out. I was able to take a plunge-based router in an existing router table and give it fine height adjustment and make it way faster to replace the router bits. I think I'm gonna get a lot of good use out of this. Well, I hope this has helped some of you out there who are looking for upgrades to their existing router system or found the Router Raizer and are looking for some more information about it. I'll have Amazon affiliate links in the description below if you want to check out either the Router Raizer or the Extreme Extension or the T-handle Allen wrench as well. I sincerely hope this helped some of you out there who had the same router table conundrum that I had. Thanks for watching.